Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Surabhyay Namaha
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 Kam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our Bhagavatam class, newcomer. So we are continuing from Canto number 1. 12, huh? Yeah. Chapter 1 entitled Questions. Someone put the marker at the wrong place. Entitled Questions by the Sages and yes, text number 12. Sutta
Sutta
Janasi
Janasi
Bhadram
Bhadram
Te
Te
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Sattvatam
Sattvatam
Patihi
Te
Devakyam
Devakya
Vasudevasya
Vasudevasya
Jato
Jato
Yasya
Yasya
Chikirshaya
Chikirshya
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Bhagavan Sattvatam Patihi
Bhagavatam Sattvatam Pati
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Jato Yasya Chakirasya
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Bhagavan Sattvatam Patihi
Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Jato Yasya Chakirasya
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Sutta Janasi Bhadram Te
Bhagavan Sattvatam Patihi
Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Devakyam Vasudevasya
Jato Yasya Chikirshaya
Jato Yasya Chakirasya Sutta
O Sutta Goswami
O Sutta Goswami
Janasi
Janasi
You know
You know
Bhadram Te
Bhadram Te
All blessings upon you
All blessings upon you
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
The personality of Godhead
The personality of Godhead
Sattvatam
Sattvatam
of the pure devotees
of the pure devotees
Patihi
Patihi
the protector
the protector
Devakyam
Devakyam
in the womb of Devaki
in the womb of Devaki
Vasudevasya
Vasudevasya
by Vasudeva
by Vasudeva
Jataha
Jataha
born of
born of
Yasya
Yasya
for the purpose of
for the purpose of
Chikirshaya
Chikirasya
executing.
executing.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. Kindly repeat after me. All blessings upon you,
All blessings upon you,
O Sutta Goswami.
O Sutta Goswami.
You know for what purpose
You know for what purpose
the personality of Godhead appeared
the personality of Godhead appeared
in the womb of Devaki
in the womb of Devaki
as the son of Vasudeva.
as the son of Vasudeva.
Report. Bhagavan means the Almighty God, who is the controller of all opulence, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. He is the protector of his pure devotees. Although God is equally disposed to everyone, he is especially inclined to his devotees. Sat means the absolute truth. And persons who are servitors of the absolute truth are called sattvatas. And the personality of Godhead, who protects such pure devotees, is known as the protector of the sattvatas. Bhadram te, or blessings upon you, indicates the sages, indicate the sages' anxiety to know the absolute truth from the speaker. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared to Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. Vasudeva is the symbol of the transcendental position wherein the appearance of the Supreme Lord takes place. Translation again. All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. So these are the continuing prayers being made by the sages at Naimisaranya who recognize in the personality of Sutta Goswami as a bona fide representative of transcendental knowledge. And very interesting here how Prabhupada uses the word anxiety. The sages of Naimisaranya are in anxiety, something negative. Also, on the spiritual level, means it is healthy, it is very good, it is desirable to be anxious, to be in anxiety, to know, to understand. And therefore, that is also nicely explained by our acharyas, that one has to pay a certain price to actually get the mercy and the attention of the Lord. One has to become very, very eager. One has to become very eager to associate with devotees, to hear from devotees, and in this way to receive transcendental knowledge. And of course, that transcendental knowledge is only available or possible when one sufficiently captures the attention of the Lord. So therefore, we see here, and this is a recurring theme in the Bhagavatam, that when coming in contact with either the Lord himself or great personalities, then it is customary to offer prayers, to glorify, isn't it? And to create a mood and an atmosphere whereby there can be a healthy exchange. And of course, this is what is going to take place in Naimisharanya. The sages, they have this very fundamental qualification or quality of being very eager to hear. In the context of transmitting knowledge, which of course is the domain of education, we come to know how in our Vedic system, not only must the teacher be very qualified, he must be representing proper teachings through Guru Parampara, but also of equal importance, the student must also be very qualified. And when there is this combination of a very qualified teacher and a very qualified student, then there will be a good result. And that is why Srila Prabhupada was naturally very critical about modern day education. Yeah, you have to show the stick. In that neither the teacher nor the students are qualified. Let one person handle these guys and everyone listen on. So this is the situation here. Naturally, the sages of Naimisharanya, as we have heard before, they were very serious in wanting to perform a 1,000-year yajna at the beginning of Kali Yuga. And they already know, they are making reference here to the Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and Devaki. And they also recognize that this great personality, Sutta Goswami, will be, or is rather, the ideal person. And I'm sure some of them also know that Sutta Goswami is just returning from having heard the first rendering of the Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami. So this is our system, that is the system of Guru Parampara, which has, as Krishna explains actually in the Bhagavad Gita, this has been the standard, ongoing, eternal system or process by which knowledge of the Absolute is being maintained, is being cultivated, and is being transmitted. And Srila Prabhupada would also, when being asked, how is it that you are, I think one of his disciples was asking, how is it that you are so wonderfully presenting the science of Krishna consciousness, either in your lectures or in your books? And Srila Prabhupada would explain that I simply have one qualification, is that I was eager to hear from my spiritual master. And he would also relate how this was pointed out by his own spiritual master. This one he likes to hear. This one he comes to Bhagavatam class. This one is attentive. So there has to be a quality. That quality is being mentioned here. One has to be anxious. So, what is it? Lobha. What is lobha? Greediness. Yeah. Again, ordinarily, lobha has a negative connotation, but in the spiritual context, it is very much needed, very appropriate. So Srila Prabhupada, of course, is an ideal example of someone who also heard and received this transcendental knowledge, and therefore was able to share it and to give it to the entire world. And that is our, we are simply trying to follow in those footsteps as well. So we'll go to the next verse here. Sages are continuing to speak. Text number 13. I'll just read the translation. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to hear, or rather, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and His incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, acharyas, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. Purport. The conditions for hearing the transcendental message are of the absolute truth are set forth herein. The first condition is that the audience must be very sincere and eager to hear. And the speaker must be in the line of disciplic succession from the recognized acharya. The transcendental message of the Absolute is not understandable by those who are materially absorbed. Under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, one becomes gradually purified. Therefore, one must be in the chain of disciplic succession and learn the spiritual art of submissive hearing. In the case of Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, all these conditions are fulfilled because Srila Sutta Goswami is in the line of Srila Vyasadeva, and the sages of Naimisharanya are all sincere souls who are anxious to learn the truth. Thus, the transcendental topics of Lord Krishna's superhuman activities, His incarnation, His birth, appearance or disappearance, His forms, His names, and so on, are all easily understandable because all requirements are fulfilled. Such discourses help all men on the path of spiritual realization. One of the, we could say, attractions or beauties of the process that we have all received. This is a conversation that took place 5,000 years ago in Naimisharanya. And the basic requirements for a successful interchange or interaction between a student and a teacher is based on the same unchanging principles. Actually, when we meditate on this point, it's very helpful for us to increase our appreciation of the process that we come to learn. In other words, the manner in which the sages 5,000 years ago would best benefit from hearing Sutta Goswami and the specific characteristics of Sutta Goswami are the same today as they were at that time. In other words, the Krishna consciousness process, or we could say transcendental knowledge that is coming down in Guru Parampara is based on eternal principles. If we simply follow those principles, if we simply learn to appreciate those principles, then we will be able to actually get similar result. Means we will become enlightened. This was mentioned, I think, a little earlier, that the benefit of hearing the Bhagavatam and the benefit of speaking to those who speak and those who learn. And it means also that the science, this is a science, transcendental science of Krishna consciousness is very, very powerful because it is based on principles that are unchanging. Just like we come in contact, we have all come in contact with these transcendental literatures. I'm sure many, not many, probably all of us have read so many different books before reading Prabhupada's books, before reading these kind of transcendental literatures. And all of us, I'm sure, otherwise we would not be here today, have been able to immediately understand a major difference between, common, ordinary, we call mundane literature. There is no juice to extract. But these, what we call perennial teachings. Perennial means they are like eternal. They've always existed. These are the kind of literatures, these are the kind of subject matters that are attractive and that can actually satisfy the soul. It is quite natural because the living entity also has the same nature. Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. We also have that nature of Satchit Ananda, and therefore we are by nature hankering for what is having that quality, that eternal quality. And it is only available in these types of literatures, and only available also when presented as explained here, when there is a qualified audience who are eager to hear, and when there's a qualified speaker who is not speculating but trying to present what has been transmitted in Guru Parampara. So, anyone would like to share some thoughts? On any of these two verses? Yes. Or,
Share the
huh?
no question.
No question. Please share.
Prabhupada books make it before giving devotees, giving first small book. Big book is not giving. Before giving very small book.
Before Srila Prabhupada was giving small, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
He wrote small books.
yeah. They reading immediately likes they were reading. We understand real knowledge is here. This book. The Prabhupada there mentioned this all knowledge is Srimad Bhagavatam. We all learn with Bhagavad Gita and that Veda. He's all that all giving so many messages there. Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam is better. I want to read Srimad Bhagavatam. He purchased Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and
Means that Srila Prabhupada was the perfect,
intelligent.
yeah, perfect strategy. Giving small book, because if you give a big book like this to somebody, they'll never take it.
But same, one person told, Prabhupada is nice. One man told, before he fisherman, actually, he told me, I am before small pieces of fish, put one hook and throw the river.
Yes.
Small pieces and big fish coming out.
Yeah.
Prabhupada
Nice.
small pieces is where
So Prabhupada was throwing out some small books and then catching people to read the big books.
big pieces.
Yes. Nice point. Yes, because as Prabhupada would say, I'm sure we've all heard it, the same content, the same message, the same potency is there in a small book as in a big book. Because as you rightly mentioned, in the small book, it's all making reference to the basic books. Basic books means Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's amazing actually how, just see, 5,000 years ago, the same topic were being discussed, and these topics are eternally actually being discussed. At the end of the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning how the sages of Naimisharanya, because they're all very sincere souls, they're eager to hear about so many things in relation to Krishna, his different incarnations, his activities, his qualities, etc. So naturally, anyone who is actually sincere will be attracted to these transcendental literatures. And in his Easy Journey to Other Planets, which was one of the small books that Prabhupada, wow, yeah, I want to go there.
That book, I read that book.
You read that book? Okay. Yeah.
And other second chance, second
Oh.
book, second chance.
Okay.
These Adamila stories.
I think Prabhupada one time was discussing with someone about this book, Easy Journey to Other Planets, and something about that person was interested to go to some other planet, but he wanted to come back here.
No books to come.
But when we know about the topmost planet, which is of course not in this material world, then we come to know that we don't have to come here again, because one becomes fully satisfied. Any other? Yes.
One question is, why we say cows to like our mother cow? Why we say?
We spoke about cows
No, this is
out of the context.
yes, mother.
Why do we speak about cows as our mother?
Yes. One person said that if you are saying that we drink milk, so we are saying mother.
Yeah.
Like that, many animals have milk, and we also take care. There, why can we say also their mother?
So your question is, why do we specifically, because many animals give milk, but we don't call the camel our mother. Some people, by the way, drink camel milk,
He's actually pointing out the vegans.
all kinds of
Vegans.
vegans.
They were forcing us that you should not drink
They
the
give-
tea. Yes, the milk.
Okay.
So
They give some excuses.
Actually, that's a very, major topic as well. Because a cow different from other mammals. Mammals means animals who give milk. The cow is directly helping all living entities to survive. Gava pratista bhutanam. Gava pratista bhutanam. Cows are helping all living entities to maintain themselves. She sustains all living entities. Why? Because, not only because of the milk that she gives, although that's also very important, but because by the presence of cows, if we do things properly, if we want to actually live a more natural and sustainable lifestyle, we must have cows. Cows and bulls, when they are allowed to graze, they help the soil actually become more fertile. And therefore that is Krishna's, we could say, transcendental arrangement for all of humanity to be dependent on the cow, who sustains not only human beings but everyone, because ultimately everyone, all other kinds of animals, they depend on what is coming from the land, except those animals who are meat eaters. So cow is our mother in that she is completely everything about the cow is for our benefit, and therefore nowadays people have forgotten or have never properly learned how the proper way to meet our different necessities of life is by depending on the natural arrangement of land, cows, and Krishna, or practicing dharma, practicing spiritual life. So there's no other animal, although giving milk, who can give the kind of benefit that cows are giving to humanity. And therefore this is only one small aspect. For example, on the spiritual level, we, the brahmanas, they depend on cows for ghee. We put ghee in the yajna, in the fire sacrifice. We don't put any other kind of milk product, isn't it? Yeah. Because actually, the of all the different milks that are produced, milk is scientifically also established as the most, as the closest to the human body. And that is why it is mentioned that if a mother is unable to breastfeed the child, then that child can survive and grow very nicely just on milk. Although normally he should get milk from one's mother. I was just reading recently, or someone mentioning that Krishna was drinking milk from Mother Yashoda up to the age of 7.
I am also
Very healthy.
I am also drinking 6 years.
6 years, eh? And that's why you're quite so healthy. 6 years, my God. Yeah. So Prabhupada explains actually the very nice, Prabhupada was talking about education. In the context of education, actually mentioned very nice, very important points. And this one specific point he was telling, that if young boys are, if our culture trains young boys to drink milk from their mother up until the age of as many years as possible, like Krishna, up to 7. If they drink the milk from their mother's breast, then when they grow up, this is Prabhupada's statement, they will not be attracted to the breast of other women. So there's a whole psychological understanding that is there. Of course, it is very physically very healthy, and one will grow up as an ideal person. So the if you analyze milk, for example, I mean, nowadays many people, they drink buffalo milk, and they make so many different sweets. Most of the sweets in milk sweet shops are from buffalo. But there's a big difference between buffalo milk and cow's milk. That is scientifically established, and I cannot describe in scientific terms, but the milk from cow, from pure cow milk, more easily, its constitution is such that more easily it helps the, as Prabhupada will explain, the brain tissues. No other milk has that type of quality. Yeah. So therefore, cow is our mother because she helps us both materially, on the material level, as well as spiritually. We cannot, Brahmanas cannot perform their duties. They cannot install deities without the products of cows. And we cannot perform samskaras without yajnas, without ghee, without grain. And none of us can become initiated. We all remain, unqualified. Yeah. Okay. Any other?
Cow dung and cow urine.
Yes. I mean, there are so many things. Cow dung, cow urine. I mean, traditionally people were cooking with cow dung. One time I heard one devotee was remembering when he was young, that he was in his village and he got cut. He was walking and somehow he got cut. And he was telling, immediately my mother told me, go there and put your foot in the cow dung. You know. So there's so many benefits that are there from cows. And that is part of what we should also be teaching to people, not only by telling, but by doing. By cooking with cow dung cake and whatnot. So that's why we have no plans to introduce in our kitchen here nothing else other than chula, the traditional. And Prabhupada also explains how food that is cooked with cow dung cake is the best, most tasty food, most healthy food. Yeah.
Thyroid, they are wood, thyroid.
That is not as good as cow dung. There's I think electricity and gas is down the list. Wood is up, but the topmost is cow dung, dry cow dung, cow cakes.
For all cow dung, make it fire cooking. What putting the field compost using?
What?
All cow dung is using just fire making cooking.
Yeah.
So what using in field compost?
No. You don't eat that much. From one cow, in one day, you get so much cow dung, isn't it? You have cows.
Some 12 kg, some 15 kg.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why cow dung is called Lakshmi. That's a real Lakshmi. So there's plenty of cow dung for your field, no problem. Okay, we'll close here.